I think I'm evil for saying that. What can I say? Everything is fair in art and war. Hello everybody, this is Another's Gig, and today we have two special occasions for this channel. The first one is that we're having the second Wordstock. In case you don't know what Wordstock is, it is a big authortubing collaboration where various authors that are active on this platform are making videos on a topic. And this Wordstock topic, which is, it involves quite a lot of people, and there will be links below. It is in two parts. Part 1 is about suspense, and the videos were up on April 15th, and today we talk about tension. Wordstock is organized by the Story Detective, and you can go to his channel, and he's at the moment I'm recording this video, he's very close to 1000 subs, so I suggest if you're interested in writing, go ahead and subscribe to him. He can pass the 1000 subs milestone because he clearly deserves that. And the second occasion today is that it is my birthday, so yes, subscribe on this channel for my birthday instead of a birthday present, because you know we stay at home and I feel very alone, so I need to be loved, and please subscribe. Oh god, that was probably the saddest sub-begging on YouTube. Let's talk about tension. And what is tension? Tension is what makes your reader keep turning the pages. A key to drama, to storytelling, is conflict. The concept of suspense that was, well, there's so many good videos about suspense from the people on Wordstock who did videos about suspense. I won't go far into it, but suspense is conflict promised. Tension, on the other hand, is when conflict is present and is building to a climax. The opposite of tension is resolution, which means that the conflict is over and people want conflict to resolve. This is very primal, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm something much more credible, I'm just a dude on the internet. So trust me, I'm a dude on the internet. Tension comes from our need to see the conflict resolved, and you know, it harkens back to an age where saber-toothed tigers wanted to eat people. So the reader keeps reading because they have this primal need to see the conflict that afflicts our heroes resolved. What's the problem though? There are some parts of your novel that the conflict is not that clear, or is not even present. I mean, the conflict may have yet to start. There may have been some resolution to one conflict, and there is something else brewing in the horizon, but we're not there yet. Or, you know, you have to put the conflict on hold in order to explain the context. Well, these are some slow parts, and sometimes they happen, and they happen at very inconvenient moments. For instance, at the very beginning of your novel, you start and the conflict is 50 pages away from the beginning point. Or you get to the midpoint, there was a resolution to a conflict that leaves our character in a certain spot and there are things to come, but you know, as we go towards Act 3, there may be some dull moments, as you know, lots of attention has been released in a way. And to be honest, you don't want to have big chunks of the boring parts stuck together. There is one great answer to how you solve this problem of the slow parts. You cut them out. But sometimes you need these boring parts, because a good story has some boring parts in it. And believe me, I've read a book that was all conflict and all tension, and it was great and also not great. Trust me. You don't want a novel full on tension, and I'll explain why a bit later. Something else you can do is you can take these big chunks of boring stuff and transpose them within the story so they work better, so they're not blocks of boring scenes together. And here are some ways you can do that, and that's the whole point of the video. One very obvious method to do that is go for in media res. In media res, it's Latin and it doesn't summon any demons. Latin are used in other things, not only for magical incantations. In media res basically means that you start the story in the middle of a conflict. It may be at the Sinec incident, it might be at the midpoint, might be at Act 3. Maybe you want to start at the very ending. Like, if you have watched my other Wordstock video, the first Wordstock about story beginnings, I mentioned about in media res. As an example, I bring American Beauty, which actually starts from the end, and this beginning, this point you start is dramatic, it's in conflict, there is tension because of it, because we're smack in the middle of conflict, and then you have two options. You flash back to an earlier point in the story and go from there, or you just go on and just stop and provide context as you go along, and they're both valid methods and you keep the tension up. Probably if you are close to the beginning on your story, or if you are at the very end and you can flash back the entire story. And one of my favorite animes of the 90s does that, Berserk, which starts literally after the end of the last episode of this series. For example, last November I was doing an NaNoWriMo and I was writing a novel called Kill Team Omega, and I've talked about this in previous videos on this channel, and this will be my example for today. The novel starts in the middle of a firefight. Our main character and his squad are being ambushed by the bad guys, and so it starts with people shooting at each other, something that I've learned from Wordstock 1 that is a bad idea. What can I do about that? And the very next scene is a briefing sequence as our hero and his squad are moving towards this battlefield, and this scene works as a way to explain who our main character is, where is he going, and what he is about to do there. So we have the dramatic incident, and then we have a scene explaining that. Something else I did in Kill Team Omega is that as the story goes along, there is a part where our main character and some other characters are going somewhere together to do something, and they have to resolve a conflict that arises, and I could just have them go to this other place and do what they have to do. Instead, I took some time, some scenes, and I was having them talk about their lives, who they are, what's their past, and I did that much slower part to provide some information on the characters, to make the reader care about some of the characters, hopefully, to explain the background of the story, do some explanations on world building and all this kind of stuff. Basically, I took all those big boring parts about who the characters are and what is the world they live in, and I made them a dialogue-heavy sequence where some people who barely know each other talk about who they are, and this provides information to the reader. So yes, that's a show don't tell example, but it's some sort of flashback because these people flash back to their lives. However, there's very little conflict in the scene, and not in a dramatic big conflict. There is some dialogue, so there is a little tension between the characters as they meet each other, and they may like or dislike somebody, so you have this injection of a little tension there. However, this is a far less tense scene than what happened before, because we had two big conflicts resolved in the previous 15,000 words of the novel. This scene is there as a breather, so that the reader can get some context in between all those scenes of shooting and verbal sparring and all that. And there is something coming that is important. They have to go to a dangerous scene, and I think that is suspenseful. I think we use this more relaxed scene as a way to give the reader some context while there is the promise of a conflict coming, and hopefully that will keep them somewhat tense, but also as a contrast, because by having a more relaxed scene in between conflicts actually makes the conflicts before and the conflicts after seem more tense. Because okay, tension is great, but it can get tiring. If you take those less tense moments and time them properly so they're sandwiched between tense moments, then the pacing of the novel gets better, because if you keep adding with the tension and there is no or very little resolution or some point you can rest, there is a breaking point. And not only adding conflict constantly trivializes the concept of conflict, because the reader keeps seeing stuff pile on, and so it gets tiring. This can make the reader stress out and decide that there is a resolution to this conflict. I'll put this book on my DNF pile because it stressed me out. Or this mounting tension can actually break the suspension of disbelief, because there's no way your character has everything going against them. You want to see the character get some wins from time to time. That's very important to keep the reader going. There is a sense of accomplishment. There is a little treat every time the reader keeps reading on, and that's how you can train them to keep reading. And well, that sounds very Machiavellian. What can I say? Everything is fair in art and war. Something else I did, and during the novel's third act, our main character had to, as Save the Cat calls this beat, storm the castle. And before he storms the castle, there are plans to be made. He has to interact with other characters. There is some gun porn in there, because, you know, we have all the sorts of cool and deadly gadgets to be shown to the reader and to other characters, etc. However, the first half of this storming the castle, it's not a castle, but you get the point, is we have characters running through some empty corridors and trying to organize themselves. So yes, this is not that tense. So what I did, had a scene of some corridor navigation, and then I threw a flashback to a scene before they get there. Well, they prepare, they talk to one another, they make plans, etc. Have a not tense scene with a slightly tense scene, and the slightly tense scene in the corridor always ends in a sort of a cliffhanger. Then, as the cliffhanger is there and there is a hook, I just throw the reader somewhere else, to a preparation scene or to other characters doing stuff meanwhile, because there's a big plan, and I won't spoil my book. When it comes out, go read it. And ideally, this will make the reader want to keep reading on, just to see this hook in the slightly tense scene get resolved. They won't have the answer. The answer is on the next scene break. So in practice, you use the dull scene, the flashback, as a means to make a tense scene even tenser. And this works on a meta-textual level, because the reader wants to see something resolved. However, you add something that is not the answer they expect, and this creates tension within them, because they want to see what happens next. What happens to your heroes? You add conflict to their reading experience. And if they go through this conflict, they read the boring part, then they'll get the resolution they deserve and they crave for. I think I'm evil for saying that. So yes, that's a third way to build tension, using flashbacks as a conflict to the reader. That was my video on tension, and it makes me feel very dirty. I'm going to have a shower right now, because some of the stuff I said are very evil and I don't feel comfortable about it. I hope you like this video. I hope you don't believe I'm so evil. I'm as evil as any author should be, in my opinion. And comment below about your opinions, about what you think about what I said, if I'm right or wrong. I'd love to hear your answers. Don't forget to go and see the other videos of Wordstock. There will be links galore below in the description of this video. Press the like button, subscribe because it's my birthday, and I'll see you soon in another video. Thank you for watching.